everyone, and welcome to Dream Leapers. I'm your host, Harriette Cole. As always, excited to be with you today. So it is summer. What do we want to talk about in the summer? We want to have fun, don't we? I know I love summer. I actually have the hashtag maximum fun because I'm always looking to do something really fun. And today we have a fun guest. Let me tell you about her. She is a stand-up comedian, a writer, and the founder of the dating coaching service Online Dating Savior. Her name is Joy Alicia, and she uses her humor and array of experiences to teach people valuable lessons about dating confidently and dating with boundaries. Can't wait to hear about that. In June of this year, she released her very first book, So Drunk a Tooth's Gotta Go. It is a collection of candid essays about modern dating, the gig economy, travel, heartbreak, and self-discovery. Joy's personal stories encourage readers to laugh and reflect. Her essays offer practical dating hacks and fierce reflections on resilience and confidence. Joy Alicia uses her voice to turn life's messiest moments into laughable but still insightful lessons. Please join me now in welcoming the woman who is making dating fun again, Joy Alicia.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Can't wait to get into it with you.
Well, welcome. And, I have to tell you that I've been, as I started reading your book, I literally was on the beach. So here I am. First of all, this title is so crazy. So drunk, a tooth's gotta go. We're going to get into what that story is in a minute. But as I was sitting there on the beach with my daughter, I found myself laughing out loud, like really laughing out loud. So I know you wanted people to laugh. It works. Your book makes people laugh. And look, I've been out of the dating game for a long time. I've been married more than 30 years, but I know tons of people who are dating or who want to date, and it can be difficult is an understatement. It can be just so challenging. So for you to just go in and talk about it raw and real and funny, I think people appreciate that. What made you decide to write this book?
I always wanted to write a book, and I didn't know if I could. You don't know if you have it in you. A lot of people want to write a book, but then they try, they attempt to, they start, and they don't get very far. So I always wanted to write a book, and I felt that it was important for me to not just tell my stories, to be able to help people as well, and to be able to enlighten people. So my whole section about the gig economy, I'm teaching everyone who hasn't been a driver what it is like. So I wanted to not just tell my stories, but also offer useful information for everybody who reads the book. And of course, I wanted to make people laugh.
and you have succeeded at that. This whole category of online dating, like, it's so popular now. This did not exist when I was coming up in the dating world. I think for a lot of people, it's terrifying, that you're meeting people kind of randomly. There's one chapter as you get deep into the book about catfishing. And so where people present themselves not as who they are. And then it's like, wait a minute, what's going on? How do you navigate online dating and feel safe and feel like you're meeting the person who has presented him or herself there?
People are online dating all wrong. They are on these apps are designed for you to match with people that you're physically attracted to. Physical attraction is important, but it's not more important than who somebody is. So when you match because you're attracted to somebody, that person could be a good or bad person. So if you want to remain safe, if you want to have fun dating, if you want to just enjoy your experiences, make sure that you're meeting with people who are worth your time, even for just a first date. I don't want to, because collectively,
how can you make sure of that?
so I have a dating hacks chapter that walks readers through how I online date, and that is by asking people some questions on the app. After that, I decide based on their answers, do I want to speak to them on the phone? Then I have an outline of what to ask on the phone. And it all leads you to a place where you find great people. I only have good first dates. The proof is in the results. Nobody should ever have a bad first date. It's very easy if you know what to do, how to vet people, and then you're aligned with them. You guys have great energy, you have similar interests, similar goals, and it works. But if you're
So I
just
know we, so I know we don't want to give away too much, but let's give a few of these questions so that people understand what are you talking about.
So on the apps, I ask them how long have they been single. That is like one of the first questions I ask. If you are just fresh into dating, if you are coming off of a long-term relationship or a separation, you are not ready. But you are on the apps because you're trying to get over someone, you're trying to move on, and that means whoever you meet with, they're rebound. So I do not date anybody or meet with anybody or talk to anybody who is newly single. They're never ready, but they're always going to tell you that they're ready. Always. So that is one of the very first main questions that eliminates like 50% of my matches right then and there, because so many newly single people are on these apps.
And so as you are kind of weeding through people, because you put down what your interests are, as you say, the physical attraction is a big part. How do you get to who the person is? What kind of questions can you ask so that you get a sense of what people really do care about?
So basically, after I ask like how long they've been single, and I ask them a few questions on the apps when I speak to them, at that point I ask them, I basically find out more about what they want, because I want to make sure that we're aligned. I find out, like, I have a question that I ask about I ask something about deal breakers, and it is the very best way for women to protect themselves from people who are not good, and it is the very best way to find out who someone is, to be honest. Because when you find out what somebody's deal breakers are, they might be describing you. If someone is describing you, obviously it's not a good idea to meet up with them, because you are what they do not want, right? Because you cannot tell that by what somebody looks like. So
I guess asking a deal breaker question is a surprise too, because that's a serious question. And so you don't necessarily think that someone would ask you something quite that serious early on. So because it's a surprise, do you think that people are honest when they answer it?
They're definitely honest, because everybody wants to tell you what they don't like. And it's funny that you say that, because so many guys are like, they tell me, they're like, I like how real you are. I like that you're asking all these questions. Or like, nobody's ever asked me that. And they like it. They really like it, because no, I don't want to talk about things that have nothing to do with whether we have a chance or not. Like, you need to actually find out what they want and who they are. And I'll ask them questions about their relationship history sometimes, or sometimes it will just come up. But it's all about compatibility. And people have a miserable time dating because they're meeting with people they're not compatible with. And you don't have to do that. You could actually have a great time if you do it the right way.
So it's funny. I'm thinking of a couple of stories I'll share with you. So my daughter spent last semester in Paris, and she found people to date online, even going all the way across the world. That's still how people find each other. But she was telling me this one person that she checked off the boxes, and they seemed really good. They had compatibility in their interests. They had a lot of compatibility. And then they made the agreement that they were going to go to a fair, but these outdoor fairs. That was very popular. He knew about it. He's from the area. And then when they get there, he says, "Oh, but I don't go on rides because I'm afraid of the mechanics." And she's like, "We are at a fair. It's filled with rides. How is it possible? Like, that wasn't a thing for her to even think could be an issue. So he only went on one ride because he was afraid of all the other ones. Strange things happen that you may not even be aware of.
Well, I mean, he took her there because he was trying to impress her,
Yes.
trying to present himself as a fun, loving, free
Right.
spirited, carefree person. That was the wrong place for him to take her, but it was also the right place. Because if that's who he is, she got a glimpse of, okay, he's trying too hard. He's really
Okay.
trying to look a certain way. And I don't know if I like his vibe. So I don't know. It's like he's smart to do that and dumb to do that at the same time. I like a theme park. I like somebody who's not uptight, and he sounds a bit on the uptight side.
It seemed, I mean, I don't think he thought he was uptight when they were communicating in advance, but then it turned into something strange. Okay, here's another one, because I read back to your catfishing chapter. I talked to a woman some years ago who was talking on the phone with someone. I think they met through online, and then they were talking on the phone, building a friendship. They were going to meet on like a cruise that goes around the city. You know how in
Okay.
some places you have that. So she sent a picture of herself that was probably from 15 years prior, and I'm going to say 150 pounds lighter. She's a
Okay.
big girl. And so let's say at the time she was probably about 300 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And she sent this 150-pound picture. He comes on the boat. She's all excited. They had bonded. Their conversations were so good. He saw her. She doesn't even know whether he recognized that it was she, but the 150 extra pounds made him walk on. And she's devastated. I'm consoling her, other friends consoling her. And we asked, well, why would you send that picture? If you're going to meet somebody, like eventually, doesn't the picture have to change? If you're going to meet somebody, how is it that you think it's going to work? But in your book, you have an example. It's not quite that big of a difference, but you have an example of someone who's like 15 plus years older than the picture. And he says, well, that's how I looked when I was that age. So how do you navigate that when what you present about yourself is completely different from who you are in the moment?
Well, nobody should ever send a photo where they're half their size. That's dishonest. It's disrespectful that person's time. It's wasteful. People swipe on you because of how you look like, and if you look so dramatically different, they're not going to trust you, and they have no reason to trust you. So basically, people FaceTiming is the best way to eliminate the catfish and the kittenfish. Not everybody's going to FaceTime, but overall, I think too many people are too paranoid about catfishes being on these apps. Because, like you said, this lady was trying to meet him. That's not typical. If you're a catfish, you're trying to be in the shadows. Like, you're
True.
not trying to reveal yourself because it's up, right? So, I don't think that people should be so paranoid and worried. But you also shouldn't be talking to somebody forever online. A catfish, again, is never going to want to meet. So, whether somebody's a catfish or not, you need to try to meet up with people fairly quickly, because then you're not investing as much time into something that might not work. There actually was a study that came out a few years ago, and it said the optimal time to meet somebody is within 3 weeks. They said what happens is after 3 weeks, you start to lose interest, and or you're just building up who you think they are too much in your mind. Mm-hmm. And that's a real problem with waiting a long time as well, is you've created a whole person that might not be like that in real life or offline. So
you made a fantasy, basically.
Yeah, because you're going off of conversations and photos and or videos, so you need to actually get to meet your people that you match with. But I will never defend sending a photo that's where you're half your size, and in the book, like my first catfish, that's egregious. And like 15 years, those are two different people.
Two different people. Hey guys, this is Dream Leapers with Harriette Cole. We are having a fun and serious conversation with Joy Alicia. She has written a book, So Drunk a Tooth's Gotta Go. Essays on dating, hacks, breakups, traveling, comedy, and the gig economy, and more. This book is filled with a lot of essays, a lot of stories, taking the reader into lots of different experiences. It definitely is laugh out loud funny at different points and serious as well. Um, at a certain point, you got, I think I read 10,000 reactions to uh, to your presence on an online dating site. Can you tell us about that?
So yes, what Tinder was doing is Tinder was sending you a notification telling you how many people swiped on you. And they were doing this as a New Year strategy. So it was like, it's a new year. They're like 10,000 people swiped on you. It's a new year. This might be your year. They said something like 10,000 people swiped on you. This might be your year. I was PMSing at the time. That sent me off the deep end. That was very upsetting to me because I thought, okay, out of 10,000 likes, where's my man? Where he at? So
Well,
I
it
didn't
didn't make
like
you
that.
happy. It did not make you happy that there were
No,
10,000. Yeah.
no, it was not a good marketing tactic at all. So that's what it was about. They had a strategy of at the new year to tell you how many people had swiped on your profile for, I assume, the previous year slash overtime. And I don't want to hear that. Where are the results? But that was, dating, you have to put the time in. And so a lot of times the app would be on my phone and I wouldn't actively be using it. That's kind of how you could accumulate that many swipes or that many likes.
What has been your most positive experience in the land of dating in this era?
I credit the apps for pretty much all of my relationships. The vast majority of my relationships, I credit the apps for that. People, I don't know why everybody thinks that, or not everybody, some people think you're going to run into somebody on the street. They're going to know you're single. You're going to know that they're single. Y'all are going to run off into the sunset. That's just not what happens. One of the last times I hit on people in person, because I'm not afraid to do that. One of the last times I hit on people is I hit on two people in the same day. Go ahead, y'all can judge me. I'm not even going to say don't judge me because I already put it out there. I hit on
Good.
two people in the same day, and the first person, he was black, and black don't crack. He told me that he goes, I was like, oh, can I get your number? I said, I think you're cute. Can I get your number or something? And he goes, I'm basically married. And he goes, I've had a girlfriend for 7 years. And I was like, okay. And he said something like, or I think I might have said, how old are you or something? He said he was 24 years old. And again, like for black not cracking, this man looked nowhere near that. So he had a girlfriend from 17 to 24. He had an attitude because here I am hitting on him. And he's like basically married, which he really was trying to let me know it's not going to happen. And then the other person, we exchanged numbers and then I spoke to him and he just had no ambition at all. And that's not sexy to me. Like, no ambition, very passive. So it's like the idea that you're going to find the perfect person just on the street, at an event, at a party, whatever, it's not true. Because another time that I hit on people in person, which was probably a few years prior, I was on what they call a booze cruise. I highly recommend it.
A booze cruise.
A booze cruise.
Booze cruise.
A booze cruise, basically, you get on the bus, or the bus. That's hilarious. You get on the boat, and they give you a cup, and you like write your name on the cup, and it's open bar the entire time. Like what you
Okay.
paid to get on the boat, it covers your drinks. However, of course, they tend to have long lines, right, for the drinks. And so I was on a booze cruise, met two black guys, and one of them lived, he wasn't local, and I had my beer goggles on. And then the other person, I also had my beer goggles on for both of them. And the other person, he told me he was on the apps. We had a date. While we were on the date, he told me he was on the apps. He was dating multiple people. And so this is all part of why I say, like, people that you meet on the street are also on the apps. People, like, you need to get over yourself with thinking just because if you find someone offline that they aren't also online.
Right. So there's a chapter where you talk about being in other countries and kind of the navigating of being a Black woman in other countries and sometimes feeling objectified, fetishized, that there was some racism there. I'm going to ask you about some of these countries and because I thought it was interesting. So like Amsterdam, do you remember about that?
Amsterdam is one of my favorite places. I adore it. I love it. I can't say enough good things about it.
And so when you were there, you had positive experiences.
I love Amsterdam deeply.
Okay. All right. There was a story about some Australians that I thought that you had met in Amsterdam that wasn't necessarily so positive.
So they were Australians, not people who reside in Amsterdam or not people who are from Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Because I have traveled with travel groups mostly. Mm-hmm. So if somebody wants to travel with a travel group, you could also still have your solo time, not only within the itinerary, but you could show up early. You could show up to whatever country the group meets in early for X amount of days and or spend extra days there. So because I was in a group and I was with Australians, the Australians were the problem, not the people from Amsterdam.
And then, so you were in Berlin at one point and a man yells, "Here comes Africa."
And they all started laughing. A group of people just erupted in a very loud laughter. And I mean, he's not no comic. That is so basic. Like, that is not clever. That is not a great punchline. Like, yes, there are going to be Black people in your country. Sorry, there's this thing called planes. Like,
so how did you react to that?
You know, basically, I think that was one of the most dangerous things I've done in my life. How I reacted to it. I'm definitely not proud of that at all. Me and him had a showdown. We had a fight, we had an argument. We had back and forth. I was completely outnumbered. There was nobody nearby. It was extremely dangerous. This is someone who identified himself as racist, whose friends also identified themselves as racist. That is not somebody that I should be engaging with in a hostile way, and that's what I did. And so it really shook me because you get outside of yourself. Sometimes when people are being racist against you, you're not always going to be logical. That was illogical. I think it was one of the most dangerous things that I've done and dumbest things I've done. It could have ended very badly.
Thank goodness it did not. But yeah. So your advice is don't do what you did.
Don't confront. Don't confront, especially when you're a 5'4" woman in a country where you don't even speak the language. People who read the story will understand. He could have been saying anything. Right. He was speaking German and I'm speaking English. That's a problem.
Yeah. So kind of moving on, especially when you feel unsafe, is better.
Yes, you have to. Mm-hmm.
This notion of as a Black woman being fetishized, it's a real thing. It happens in this country and it certainly happens in other parts of the world. And so with online dating, there's also that potential. Well, I want a Black girl. I want to at least have dated a Black girl in my life or something like that. When you come upon people like that, how do you react?
I'm the wrong person for you to ask this question to. I'm going to just be real with your audience. I do not care if somebody is curious. Because I am Black, I'm not offended by that at all. I think that's human nature. Like, I haven't been with every race, so I'm curious. Not everybody's going to say it, but to your point, they're more likely to say it on an app. They're more likely to say, I've always wanted to be with a Black girl. I've always been curious about being with a Black girl. I think you guys are so sexy or whatever. So I don't mind it and I don't care. And I think realistically, a lot of people end up with people that they didn't think they would be with. And I'm not talking about race, I'm just talking about in general. Mm-hmm. So people typically are not disrespectful. It depends on if somebody is thin-skinned or easily offended and they don't want to hear that somebody has always wanted to be with a Black girl. That's not a bad thing. If somebody says, I think you guys are so great, I think you guys are so sexy, that's not a bad thing. But sometimes they will talk about a Black woman's... Basically, I don't like it when they spend a lot of time talking badly about white women, and I don't need that assurance. I don't need to know that you don't want to date them, that you don't like them, that you say they're boring, you don't like how they might look physically. That has nothing to do with me. So for me, I don't care if somebody wants to explore, or if somebody's attracted to me, they're attracted to me, and I just happen to be Black. There isn't the same need for white men to seek out black women as there is for some Black men who exclusively seek out white women and claim that love is love. And love is not love when you're only dating one race outside of your own. That's literally not what it is. So I don't mind it. And when you go to a place that doesn't have many Black people, they're very excited. But I remember one time specifically when I met someone in Budapest, and I didn't write about him. But anyways, and I said, like, he had told me he hasn't been with a Black girl before. And I was like, well, I said, did you swipe on me because I'm Black? And he said, I see Black people on these apps all the time. He was like, but I wasn't attracted to them. So it's like, it's nice when somebody that isn't their only reason, right? Like, sure. Your attraction has to be beyond somebody's race, or it should be if you're smart.
What is your what did you describe it what is it that you cannot abide that is a deal breaker? What is your deal breaker?
In a man, or when traveling, or
in dating?
I don't want somebody very social who's going out all the time. That's a red flag to me. Like, where you have to be partying almost every night. I'm not doing it. Also, their relationship history. Like, if you talk to somebody who says that they cheated all the time, or they're always dumping people, that even if they ghost, which I write about, just any qualities or traits that you don't want, then, so my deal breakers are somebody just very social. I want somebody who's connected to their family. A lot of people are estranged from their families. Somebody who doesn't just want to be out in these streets, somebody who has a desire to settle down. If I'm trying to hook up, my standards are different, because this is not somebody I'm trying to be in a long-term pairing with. But just, I don't know, like their temper. I write about that in the book. If somebody has a short fuse, I'm not interested. So that's something that I need to find out as soon as possible, because I will end it the moment that you snap and erupt, and I don't think it's warranted. I also like guys who are in therapy and or who don't have an aversion to therapy. So just somebody who's mature and doesn't have a bad relationship history. I don't want somebody who's been with somebody one person their whole life, just as much as I don't want somebody who's never been in a relationship. But I need to see a bit of a healthy, well balanced background in their dating history. I think it's really important to ask them about their dating history because a lot of times it'll tell you what you're in for. You know.
That's a lot of really good points. Hey guys, this is Dream Leapers with Harriette Cole. We are talking with Joy Alicia. She has a new book. It is called So Drunk a Tooth's Gotta Go. Essays on dating, hacks, breakups, traveling, comedy, the gig economy, and more. And like I mentioned in the beginning, there are some laugh out loud stories in here. Joy Alicia, also, you've dabbled in comedy yourself. Tell us about that part of your career and how you got started and why that's important to you.
The jokes come to me, so they came to me for years, and I finally decided to test them out. I tested them out, it went well. I have about 2 hours worth of material. I haven't tested all of it out, so I don't know if all 2 hours is good. But I think that life sucks. I think that life is really hard, and I feel so fortunate and so blessed to be able to make myself laugh. And other people laugh when I'm performing, and other people laugh when they're reading my book. And the jokes come to me. I don't really know how to articulate it. That might not sound too pretentious, but I'm literally trying to go to sleep when jokes will come to me. I'm literally in the shower. I'm literally driving. So you're in a meditative state when you're driving. You're in a meditative state sometimes when you're in the shower, when you're in a movie, when you're trying to go to sleep. And so that's kind of when your brain might bring you ideas versus when you actively try to. So I'm just trying to share what comes to me. And but when I'm writing, a lot of times, of course, I might specifically be trying to write jokes about specific topics. I'm also able to do that too. So I think life sucks and I'm shy, but people like my passion for comedy, it's more important than my comfort level, and people, they really do enjoy my comedy.
That's great. Where are you from? Tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got to where you are today.
I'm from San Diego, born and raised. I've lived in California for most of my life. So I don't know. Like I said, I've always liked reading and writing. Ever since I was a little girl, always wanted to write a book. So it feels like something that I've been drawn to, whether I wanted to be or not. So yeah.
So in your career though, what did you start out doing as you've been building your life?
That's a great question. So when I graduated from college, because I first was a journalism major and I got intimidated and scared, so then I shifted to advertising. So I graduated with advertising, and then I worked at one of the top ad agencies in Los Angeles. I had 12 to 18-hour days. Wow. And then I decided to go back to school for journalism. And so while I was in school, I launched a website writing about entertainment news. And being in LA, I was able to interview celebrities and do fun and exciting things that nobody could ever take away from me because it's something that I created. And then from there, it's just been, different jobs. Like I worked for an airline right before I applied on a whim, and I worked for an airline right before the pandemic. So shout out to me because I got unemployment for a job that I barely had. I literally had the job for 4 months. And then here comes unemployment setting me up for a very
Yeah,
long
by the way,
time.
unemployment during the pandemic was really good. That was incentivized unemployment, right?
Yeah, unemployment during the pandemic was your standard amount plus $600 a week.
I,
And then
I,
on top of it, not having to go to work and be afraid,
so what
right?
did you do? I'm very curious about this. I used to ask people all the time, but I'm going to ask you this question that I think is so interesting. What did you do? How did you spend your time during the pandemic? What are the fruits of your thoughts, your interests, your labor during that period?
I wrote So Drunk a Tooth's Gotta Go.
Oh,
I wrote the book in the pandemic. So one of my coworkers from the airline, I was so jealous of her. Every time I check in with her, she watched everything on Netflix, everything on Amazon Prime, everything on HBO. Like she really was like, it was like 20, at least 20 different shows, documentaries, movies. She's like, oh, this is what I watched. I was like, she's so smart. She's like using the pandemic to educate herself and to entertain herself, and I was jealous, but at least I wrote the book. So I'm very proud of the fact that like she had her own form of productivity and I did too.
and writing a book is not an easy thing to do. I've written a number of books, and the discipline of it, I mean, you have to work at it constantly in order to get it done. So even though you had these stories, that's different from crafting them and turning them into something literary that's publishable. So what was your discipline for writing?
Well, just real quick, I want to say this book is packed with jokes and punchlines. I'm not bringing that to this interview. Like, I just want people to know, like, trust me, read the reviews. The reviews will
Oh
let
no,
you
it's
know.
funny. No, we're having a serious conversation, but the book is funny.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
just want to let them know, like, don't be like, I didn't hear no jokes. Like, what is she like? No, the jokes are in the book. Um, but as far as the discipline, I had two editors. So I had one editor, and they were both invaluable. But because it's my passion and I enjoy it so much, it rarely felt like a chore. It was like, let me write about this. Let me work this out. Let me delete this. Let me move things around. I mean, my first editor, she was really good with telling me what she thought I should remove, what she thought didn't work, what might have been offensive, what jokes were a flop. She was really, really great because she would always put an exclamation point when she thought a joke was funny, which was important to me. I wanted her to know, like, I need to know your opinion because I don't know what other people think. So it didn't require much discipline for me. I loved, I love to write, love writing about these stories, and I'm so thankful that I was able to write about these things as though they took place yesterday. I did not lose my tooth yesterday, and everything in the book did not happen yesterday. But if you read the book, I feel that the descriptions are vivid enough and detailed enough where you would
Absolutely.
think that it happened very, very recently. So I'm proud of the book. I'm really, really proud of it, and I'm excited to help people. Like, I think I'm going to really help people with dating because, to your point earlier, like, you don't know who these people are. And this, like, dating leads to fatality sometimes. And so that's why I'm so passionate about this, because I've talked to men who I believe would have harmed me if I did not vet them first. So I take this very seriously, like, wanting to teach people what they're doing. These apps are money making businesses. They want you to subscribe, they don't want you to unsubscribe. They don't care if you find somebody, they want you to keep swiping and messaging, which is fine from a business standpoint, but there's no education around how to protect yourself,
Right.
how to make sure you're not wasting your time. There's none. So,
Well, and so because it's in the title, and there's so many stories, just letting everybody know, so many really great stories that Joy Alicia takes you into the experience. So you're having the experience with her, which is why I think she's making the point. This didn't happen yesterday because it feels like it did. When you're reading it, you are there with her in the experience, kind of being her, which is amazing. But I want you to tell this story, the So Drunk a Tooth Gotta Go, because there's so many lessons in that story, Joy Alicia. I was like, oh, you could have lost your life in a bunch of different ways in that scenario. Can you tell us what happened?
I love how dramatic you are. I love you so much. I love you because you're right. This was dangerous. Like the
Oh my
bottom line.
goodness. I was reading it going, oh no, I know she's alive because she wrote the book.
You know, I like to not eat, or I liked to not eat, just to trim my waist a little bit. I'm not really as small as I've been in the past, so if I don't eat today, the effects are not as visual. But I didn't eat, and then when you don't eat, there's nothing to absorb alcohol. So when you don't have food in your stomach recently, and then you're drinking alcohol, as in shots, it is going to affect you almost instantaneously. So, which I've done before. We all have had drinks before. We've all have had shots before. We've all not eaten and had shots. But it's just the no food for an extended period of time, the quick shots, and then not eating after to kind of help with that. I was drunk, and it resulted in me losing a tooth. Obviously, I want people to read the story, but I've had a few recent Amazon comment or reviews where they mentioned a chipped tooth. It's like, honey, I lost my tooth. Do not reduce it to a chipped tooth.
No.
And the thing is,
I mean, a bloody face in the street. It's a real graphic story that you share.
I was very graphic with it, and I feel like people will really feel my injuries. Like I was pretty detailed. So yeah, I don't want it to be reduced to a chipped tooth. When you are when certain things happen, a tooth is not going to remain in place. So with all the weight on the tooth, it's not going to be there. So it wasn't chipped. So I appreciate what you said. I was, I could have died, right? I could have died. I'll just say before the bleeding stopped. And that is what alcohol does. And I say that, like, it can lead to injuries. It can lead to fatalities. It just can. That's just the reality.
And really bad decision making. I mean, again, without giving it all away, but there's the scene that made me the most scared for you, which is why I found myself praying for you, even though I know you're alive because you wrote the doggone book. But when you go into someone's apartment with 3 men and you don't know any of them, I'm like, girl, because I told you I have a daughter. I'm like, oh, I hope she doesn't do what Joy Alicia.
Oh, she's doing it, honey. She's doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's doing it. It's like one of my friends, like, she had her daughter at like 16, and so I like to tease her and be like, "You about to be a grandma?" Like, I love to, like, you know what I mean? But anyways,
look, part of the reason why I read some of it out loud to her was to say, "Okay, don't do this, don't do this."
Okay, this is what I want to say. I want to address this. So I'm glad you're bringing it up. This one girl, she commented, it's not online or visible, but she was like, the risks. I can't believe the risks she takes with men. And it's understandable. It's understandable that I do believe that my book is going to trigger or can trigger some people who have not had the same experiences. And like, it's just, I expect certain slut shaming and I expect certain responses. I just do. But this is what I want to say to what you're saying.
Okay.
What I want to say is, I dislike when people in general give out the message that every man is dangerous, that every man is an attacker, that every man is a
I
killer.
agree with
That
you.
is not the case. So if if a woman is with strangers, it does not mean that something bad will happen. I am from a party town. I am from like it's like the eighth largest city. So it's either the seventh or eighth largest city
Right.
at any given moment in America. And it is a party town, and that's just how I grew up. You party with people randomly. But a
And
woman,
mostly feeling safe. Let me just jump in to let folks know we're in the home stretch here, Dream Leapers with Harriette Cole. We're talking with Joy Alicia. Her new book is So Drunk a Tooth's Gotta Go. Essays on dating hacks, breakups, traveling, comedy, the gig economy, and more. It's a laugh out loud book. So and we are having a serious conversation, which doesn't change the fact that this is a laugh out loud book. But you use humor in a strategic way, which I like, to help get a lot of different points across. But people are willing, I think, to consider serious ideas and concepts when you make them laugh. And then they go, oh, yeah, I never thought about that. But what the point that you just made, I think, is extremely important, that we should not make assumptions about anybody, but especially we shouldn't make the assumption that every man is dangerous. And I definitely didn't mean that. Uh, at the same time, as a mom, I can't help but go, ooh, I hope my daughter's not doing that. And you make the point, yeah, she probably is. This is that push pull that we have, with okay, we
I
put
mean,
people.
I was outnumbered, and it could have gone left.
It
It
could
could
have
have
gone.
gone south. I was outnumbered. However, I just think that a lot of people just have this fear, and there's this widespread belief like stranger danger, and just statistically it's the people
That's true.
who are actually attacking people. I'm using the word attacking strategically, piece it together what I mean.
Yeah,
Men attacking women, and just when you think about a lot of violence and all that, it's the people that it's not the random people. But it's like, I don't know if your daughter is doing what I did,
I
but
know. I know.
what I do know is that every man is not dangerous, and I am glad that I've never held on to that belief,
Yeah,
because it allows me to be a bit more carefree and enjoy my life. I typically am great at, you know, getting a vibe from someone. If I felt those people were dangerous, I would not have gone with
sure.
them into their
Fair point.
apartment.
Fair
And
point.
so I follow my gut instincts, and that's all part of why I think a lot of times I have been okay. You have to kind of trust your gut, trust the vibe, trust the energy, and not think that all men are dangerous. I just think that makes me sad when people are just like, oh my, it was a man. It's like, yeah, I have guy friends, and there are, like, out of everybody who's around, like, there would be a lot less of us women if every man was doing something wrong.
So before we go, because we only have about a minute left, what one piece of advice would you like to lead folks with? People who are on the dating scene, who want to have fun, want to meet somebody special, maybe sometimes just want to hook up. What advice do you have to leave people with as we complete our conversation
Well, if I
today?
have a minute, I'm screwed. But what I will say is my dating hacks chapter is what you want to read, so that you will stop meeting idiots. You will stop meeting people who just want to hook up. You will stop meeting dangerous men. You will only have good first dates. If I've only had good first dates for several years, you will only have good first dates if you just get better at dating. There's no reason why anybody should ever have a bad first date. That is something that I can help you to figure out. I also have onlinedatingsavior.com that goes more in depth into the things I talked about in the book. This book is going to make you laugh. Again, read the Amazon comments. Do not listen to what I'm saying. Read what people have said. If everybody is saying that it's funny and useful and insightful and educational, it's really a steal at the price that it is right now, $13.99 for paperback, because it is going to change your dating life. And as far as hooking up, there are questions that I would more get into people that I'm working with. But yes, if you just want to hook up, you also want to make sure you're on the same page as far as what you want to take place. You don't want it to be a mismatch, right? So that's important too. You don't want, even if you're just hooking up, you don't want a mismatch there either. So you guys, the book is here. I spent years on it. I know you're going to love it. Everybody's loved it across the board. End of story. Dating, just have fun like I do. It's very easy to if you just learn how to do it.
Excellent. Thank you so much. It has been a joy to talk to you, Joy. Thanks so much. And congratulations on your book, So Drunk a Tooth's Gotta Go. Essays on dating hacks, breakups, traveling, comedy, the gig economy, and more. Congratulations, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much. This was so fun.
And thank you to all of you for tuning in. You will enjoy this book of your dating. There's something in it for you. It will definitely make you laugh. Until next time, have a great day and make it count.